Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Hello. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's Faith Action Network annual dinner. Can we get a round of applause for all of you? We have been eagerly awaiting this night together, especially after this long election week that we've had. And we are so happy that we have a sold-out, beyond capacity crowd this evening, which is fantastic. My name is Anila Afzali, and I'm one of the FAN governing board members, as well as the executive director of the American Muslim Empowerment Network at the Muslim Association of Puget Sound, or MAPS, and shout out to the rest of the MAPS crew here tonight. And I am very delighted to be one of your MCs for this special evening together.
And I am Rabbi Ruth Slotnick from Temple Beth Am. And so now I feel like I have to say a shout out to my Beth Amers over here. Not that it's a competition, not that it is a competition. In fact, Anila and I were just standing here and really getting a little, as we say in Yiddish, verklempt, a little emotional seeing all of you here today. What a beautiful sight it is from right here. And so before we do anything else, we want to acknowledge that we gather in the heart of Duwamish land. And we are so very honored to have Chairwoman Cecile Hansen and several Duwamish guests here with us tonight. We honor you in your persistent struggle for federal recognition and are grateful for your sponsorship and your presence. And so we invite Cecile up to the stage to bring a welcome, and also Abbot Genjo Marinello of the Chobiji Zen Center to offer a special invocation for this incredible gathering tonight.
This is a moment of history, don't you agree? On behalf, I'm honored to represent the Duwamish tribe of Seattle to welcome everyone to this special occasion to the Faith Action Network. It's so amazing that we come together once a year to do this on behalf of the Faith and Action Network. And so therefore, let's have a wonderful time, new friends, old friends, and I'm glad to be here tonight to welcome you on behalf of the Duwamish tribe, the indigenous people of Seattle. Remember that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cecile, for that warm welcome, and welcome to everyone. I know that the Duwamish sacrificed much of their land so that we could be here today, all of their land. And the least we can do, I just want to remind everyone, if you haven't already, is to, those of us in this region especially, to pay a little real rent. And all you have to do is go to realrentduwamish.org. We now have 3,470 real renters as of tonight. And maybe we could get to 3,500 if you get on your phone. All right. In the Zen Buddhist tradition, we say, there is a reality even prior to heaven and earth. It has no form, let alone a name. Incomparably profound and minutely subtle, this intimate, infinite, alive reality is most easily felt in the silence of prayer and meditation. So I invite you now to enter with me a minute of silence. And if we could sit erect in our chairs and reach our spines a little bit up towards the heavens and plant our tailbone into Mother Earth and as we embark on this minute of silence together. Listen on all channels of perception to the stillness and presence between and within each note of this symphony of now. I'll conclude with 4 gentle bells and a chant, but now a moment of silence. And the chant is 4 lines that goes as follows. I put my hands together in what's called gasho. For the commandments, we call it the commandments of the 7 Buddhas. It means all awakened beings everywhere. Sho aku maku sa. It means raising our voices to not cause harm. In other words, to transcend our own racism, sexism, ageism, ableism, homophobia, xenophobia, and other delusions. Shuzen Bugyo, raising our voices to be of a servant to all that is good. That is to say, we must become actively anti-racist while fighting for justice and equality. Jijogo-i, raising our voices to cultivate our deep nature, to care for all beings, great and small, animate and inanimate. Zeishobutsu kyo. For this is the full teaching of all the awakened ones, no matter what religion, no matter what continent, not even no matter what planet. Thank you all.
Wow, thank you so very much, Cecile and Genjo. And now, quite literally, from the sacred to the profane, I want to share a few logistics with you about the space that we're inhabiting, because you should feel free to do whatever you need to do to be comfortable and fully present here this evening. So right behind me are the bathrooms. The coat racks are over there by the registration tables. The wine bar and table are open throughout the evening. You may notice that there are beverages with coffee, iced tea, lemonade, and sparkling cider at the beverage tables. So really, please feel free. We are among family this evening. Move about as you need to.
And tonight is extra special, not only because we have a sold-out audience, not only because all of you are here, not only because we're coming together to celebrate community, but also because we are hosting our 2nd annual simultaneous dinner in Spokane. And yes, as long as technology works, we are right now live streaming from this room to Spokane so that they can hear our speakers and share with us and be with us in spirit throughout the evening. We have about 75 people who are currently gathered at Glover Mansion there, and we acknowledge that they are gathering on the land of the Spokane tribe of Indians, and we honor with gratitude the land, the rivers, and the Spokane tribe. So let's give them a rousing hello and welcome. Our board member, our fan board member, Jim Castro-Lang, is hosting the Spokane dinner, and he has worked so hard to make that dinner come to life, and we thank him for all of his work and effort. We also want to acknowledge the whole planning committee who worked for months to put this night together for us to enjoy and celebrate together. Our hardworking fan staff, the board members, and the volunteers who have stepped up to make tonight go smoothly. And you will see their names in your program.
I hope it's okay, but I kind of feel like we should, at the count of 3, say hi to Spokane. So on the count of 3, let's say hi, Spokane. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Hi, Spokane! I think they heard it even without the technology. We're okay. So everything that FAN has done in the past year is accomplished through partnership, through connections, through collaborative relationships. Not one of us is able to be here and to work for peace and justice alone. So tonight especially, we want to thank our partners who have allowed this dinner to happen, who have sponsored this event with their financial support. Once again this year, we are so grateful to our matching sponsor, Rick Steves, from whom we'll hear in just a little bit. And we also want to thank our other sponsors who are year-round sustainers. The Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, the Pacific Northwest Conference of the United Methodist Church, the Pacific Northwest Conference of the United Church of Christ. Oh, you can see it right over there. The Episcopal Diocese of Olympia, as well as the Presbyterian Hunger Program, UFCW 21, and SEIU Local 6.
And all of these sponsors are listed in your programs, and they will be up on the screens as well. And we ask you to hold your applause while I read all the advocates for justice. We have the Sisters of Providence, Mother Joseph Providence, Council 28, AFSCME, the Duwamish Tribe, Tulalip Tribes. We have our Messengers of Hope, the Muslim Association of Puget Sound, ACLU of Washington, Spiritual Directors International, the Khalsa Gurmat Center, SEIU Healthcare, Jonas and Charles Davis, Cynthia and Ron Mo Labida, and our business sponsors as well, Carrie Lilovic PLLC, Moonin Leasing LLC, Yakindo Web Designs, Evergreen Plan Giving, and Trade Printery.
Now we can give it
Yes.
up for them.
Applause.
And also a heartfelt thanks to our movement builders, both organizational and individual. There are so many, which is really a blessing. There are so many that we're not going to name them, but please look and see your name in lights on the screen. And we are also so very grateful to the Dream Sharers, who are our table hosts as well. You have helped fill this space with spirit, with fellowship, with friendship, and so thank you so very much. We are really encouraging tonight that we use social media, so get out there on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever your social media platform of choice is, and share the favorite moments that you have from tonight with the hashtags that you can see right over there.
I have to make sure I add those hashtags to my posts, but please do use those. And I have to say, I've been coming to this fan dinner now for years, and every year it seems to get bigger and better. So this is beautiful to see. If only you could see what we're seeing up here. It is just absolutely phenomenal and inspiring for us. It is almost dinner time. We hope you're hungry, but we do want to start the night off with the first award as a way of dedicating our whole evening to the legacy of a person who has been special to FAN and to many people in this room. So I invite up the FAN co-director, Elise DeGoyer, to introduce this first award. And while she's coming up here, I will say Elise has been working so hard. It's such an honor to be on the board with her and to work with her. So let's give her a round of applause.
So tonight, we are so overjoyed to be able to honor this person while he is still with us, Tony Lee. How many of you know Tony Lee? Yeah. So Tony is a longtime advocate, activist, leader in this area, and he is living with ALS, and it's a very difficult thing to be living with. And unfortunately, he couldn't be with us tonight, and his partner could not either. But he did write a couple words for us, a few very thoughtful words that Rabbi Ruth will read. I just want to say a couple personal notes, and I know you could all tell your stories, but I think Tony was the one to take me on my first lobbying visit. It was to Seattle City Council member Norm Rice, so that tells you how long ago that was. And he was just great at mentoring younger people and bringing them along and making space and passing on the importance of advocacy. I think Tony was the first person to say in the 80s that Micah 6:8 was his inspiration for what he did to act justly, love mercy, right? And walk humbly. So I remember Tony sharing that in a small group we had. But when I think of Tony, and I think of our theme, Raising Our Voices, I hear a really booming voice and a lot of laughter. Yep. So there are some beautiful words he wanted to share, and it took him much time to do this for us. So I'm going to let Rabbi Ruth do that. Thank you.
I'm really honored to be able to share these words with you. And so Tony says, I regret that I cannot join you to celebrate the work of FAN. I want to thank Elise and Paul and others who nominated me for this award. I devoted a substantial amount of my time during my career working for faith organizations, so this award has a very special place in my heart. I want to thank some colleagues who really were equal in my work. Steve Lansing of the Lutheran Public Office, and Mary Casey and Ned DeLacy of the Catholic Conference. We were known as the God Squad. Without their advice and collaboration, my work would not have been successful. I was fortunate and blessed to have worked under the leadership of remarkable ecumenical leaders, Archbishop Hunthausen, Reverend Lauren Arnett, and Reverend Bill Cate. They were humble servants of God who led by their actions and by their daily lives. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the work that I did with Paul Benz. He is a tireless worker for justice and peace and is the moral conscience of the legislature. Finally, I want to mention how critically important the work of FAN is. At a time, and now these are the words of Tony, at a time when the president is a racist, virulently anti-immigrant, and immoral, it is crucial that we have organizations like FAN that act as the moral conscience, reminding the nation that morality and tolerance should be at the center of our politics.
So we will deliver this to Tony and Angie sometime in the next few weeks, but they're with us tonight. Thank you. So dinner is served. I think they're ready. Yes, yes. There are two-sided buffet tables at each end. A server at each will serve whatever entree you signed up for. Remember all those calls we made? Do you want quinoa? Do you want salmon? So there's salmon, lasagna, or quinoa at each side. There are side dishes as well. Dessert will be served to you at your table. Please let your server know if you need an alternative fruit dessert. And To begin, I just want to allow anyone who needs extra time to access the tables. We're pretty tight in here, but anyone who needs extra time, please go to the buffet tables, and then we'll start from the middle and call your numbers. Bon appetit. So.
Good evening, friends and allies. This is one of my most beautiful sights of the year, is to be here for the annual dinner. Put your hands up. Yeah, all right, all right. Woohoo! This is great to see everybody here tonight. So please continue to obviously enjoy your meal, just not your conversation, please, right now. Full attention to the podium, of course, right? So we're grateful tonight. This is an organization that sometimes fights with City Hall and sometimes works with City Hall. And if you know what I mean by City Hall, I'm talking about the halls of power. So we want to acknowledge the elected officials that are in our presence tonight and in Spokane. And I think Representative Robinson is here in our midst from District 38. Please put your hands together for June. And I know very little about technology. Is Spokane with us? Is Spokane with us right now? Anyway, so in Spokane, Representative Tim Ormsby, so please put your hands together for Rep. Ormsby. I don't know how the gods aligned this tonight, but we have the chair and the vice chair of, well, I'll just say it. We have the chair and the vice chair of the Money Committee, the Appropriations Committee, with us on one end of the state and the other end. So I'll just shut up and keep on going. So we also have Jonathan Rosenblum here from Councilmember Sawant's office. Jonathan, are you still with us? There's Jonathan there. And Congressman Adam Smith would have been here tonight, but he is being honored at the CARE dinner, the Council of American Islamic Relations up north of us on 405 at MAPS. And so we want to put our hands together for Congressman Adam Smith for his good work. He brings us welcome as we are here in his district in Renton. I also want to honor another newly elected official, two of them that I think are here in our midst tonight. Zara Roach, a member of the Muslim American. Please stand, Zara, please. All the way from the city of Pasco. Thank you for being with us tonight. One of the newest members of the city council in Pasco, and her mother, Sabia, is on our governing board. I believe that of all the newly elected officials tonight, three for sure will be from our Muslim American community in this state, and possibly four. So we want to give thanks for that tonight as well. And the other elected official that is here tonight, school board member Bolerjack, Pastor Jan Bolerjack. Are you here someplace tonight? There's Jan. It's the Tukwila School Board. So just to give thanks for all those, I know many, we could go on all night of those good people that I know of that have, and multiply it with who you know that have run for office just in this election, and the many of you that get out and support campaigns of the candidates that we want to have in office. That's what it takes to make the change that we want to see. Thank you.
How was that dinner? Sorry to keep you from your dinner, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. We thank our fan staff, our small but mighty fan staff, for putting in extra work to make tonight possible. It's been a busy time. Tara Miller-Berry, who was getting everybody registered and all their preferences down. Thank you, Tara. There she is. And our UW School of Social Work intern, Kevin Holtz, is right back there. We've got a dedicated bookkeeper who couldn't be with us tonight, but she's been with us for decades, even before we existed. And the extra assistance of Eldine Montgomery, who got us organized the last couple weeks. Thank you, Eldine. It's really important for me to acknowledge our governing board members on this night, especially because they operate so in the background, but they are the keepers and the people who push forward our mission and vision. So first, co-chair Reverend Carol Jensen, who you used to see up here. She invited others to join in. Thank you, Carol. Secretary Nigel Tabor Hamilton. Thank you. Treasurer Carolyn Stevens. All right, thank you. Jonas Davis. Sarah Franklin Phillips. There she is. Reverend Ken Jones, all the way from Yakima. Sabia Khan, one of our newer board members from Pasco. And of course, our MCs, Anila Afzali and Rabbi Ruth Slotnick. We appreciate you all. And if Spokane is back, we thank you so much, Jim Castro Lang and Spokane, for having this great idea and making us communicate at least one way. We hope it'll be two-way next time from here to Spokane. So we're also grateful for our Interfaith Leaders Council, many of whom are here, and you know who you are, and we are grateful for your advice and support of FAN. Back to Paul.
Speaking of fighting or working with City Hall and the halls of power that FAN works in, the primary one that we work in, of course, is in the state legislature in Olympia. I just want to quickly go through just a few of our victories that we had this past session. And there are between 30 and 40 on our website that we list, and there are many more. So I just want to go through a few of those. One is Keep Washington Working. This is a bill that we worked on for many years, and it's about protecting our undocumented neighbors on civil cases, separating the communication between ICE agents and local law enforcement. Initiative 1000 is still before us. I checked the Secretary of State's website last night. We were still 12,704 votes, according to the website, behind. I don't have the time right now to say what I would like to say about that, but I think, I think white privilege, I just don't think we know that white privilege and racism still is alive and well, and that four-letter word, fear. But I will refrain from saying any more about that other than we have plenty work ahead of us in terms of that. I do want to acknowledge Representative Robinson and her good work on House Bill 1406 without getting into the details that allows local governments to have access to more revenue regarding building affordable housing without raising taxes. So June, we need more of those bills but thank you for that. If you haven't heard, we have an amazing new Speaker of the House, Representative Lori Jenkins from Tacoma Pierce County. Put your hands together for Lori. We look forward to working with her in the coming session, and she is the prime sponsor of the first in the nation bill regarding we now have in Washington State a publicly financed long-term care system. That's about as simply and succinctly as I can put it. Put your hands together for that one, of course. That will go into effect in 2022. And then last but not least is the importance always of working across the aisle. Differences of opinion even in this room, right? And within our own households of faith and our organizations that we all work with, but across the aisles is very, very important work. And so our good friend from Goldendale, Representative Gina Mossbrucker, what I'm talking about is the critical issue that affects our First Nations in this state, in this country. You know the acronym MMIW, Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women. And Gina Mossbrucker, a state representative from Goldendale, introduced and passed a second bill where we now have an appropriation in the state budget for the Washington State Patrol to hire 2 people, 2 Indigenous women to work on this in terms of transparency and how can we work closer with our First Nations peoples. Goldendale, if you don't know, is right next to the Yakima Nation. Last but not least is as we move forward, coming to the end of this year and into next year, Representative Robinson and all of us here know that there are many lobby days every day when the legislature rings the bell and the first day begins this year, this coming year on January 13th. FAN will have its Interfaith Advocacy Day on the 6th of February, and we have to make sure that the snow and ice gods do not deliver on that day, right? So we look forward to having all of you there, as many as possible, and February 8th in Yakima and January 25th in Spokane. And if you can't come the 6th, I'm down there most of the days of the week. Just give me a call and we'd be honored and glad to have you. Just have to wear your tennis shoes because even at my age, I still truck pretty fast down there. Thank you.
So we welcome your help to make all of this happen and more in the year ahead. We'll also do other things, right? We do a lot. So we will plan to vigil, rally, and march with you as things come up. We'll work against the harmful federal rule changes that we've been seeing coming down from the administration. We'll work to stop those. Our Attorney General's had a pretty good record with some of that so far. We'll work against family separations and the deplorable actions that we see happening at the border. One new thing we'll be doing is working for a complete census count. Since the citizenship question is out of there, we want to make sure everyone's counted, everyone gets represented, and that communities receive the critical dollars because everybody counts. So we'll need your help in that too. We invite you to let us know where voices of faith and conscience are needed, and then since you're FAN too, we'll invite you to join them. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of FAN. Thank you for being FAN as you participate. And now I'd like to invite Carol Jensen, our co-chair, to introduce our keynote speaker.
So last year it was new hip. This year it's new knee. So not the same thing. Okay. It's my pleasure to welcome Reverend Priscilla Paris Austin, pastor of Emmanuel Lutheran Church in the South Lake Union neighborhood of Seattle, as our primary speaker this evening. Her advocacy work began over 30 years ago, working with and advocating for youth. Over the years, which include 9 years of ordained ministry, she has advocated, served, preached, and taught in urban contexts. Since coming to Emmanuel in Seattle in 2015, Pastor Priscilla has been a leader in her congregation, in the Northwest Washington Synod of the ELCA, and in our national ELCA church body, in changing hearts and minds as well as institutions to commit to the journey of anti-racist work. In the wider faith-based community as well, her voice and her witness, and I would add also the witness of her family, her husband Tony, and her children. I'm sorry, I don't know all your names, but of her whole family, have challenged and inspired many. With our 2019 theme, Raising Our Voices, the Fan Dinner Planning Committee unanimously chose Pastor Priscilla because of her work locally and nationally to address white supremacy and racial equity in religious institutions and society at large. We know that all of our communities are being called to this work in new ways through education and action and advocacy. We're mindful of the 400th anniversary of slavery in this nation, the new forms of slavery that slavery has taken since the emancipation, and also the current crisis and suffering at the U.S. border. We want to lift up both prophetic and pastoral voices as we celebrate all that FAN as a movement has been able to accomplish in 2019 and gather momentum for all that we need to do in 2020. And we know that Reverend Priscilla will raise her voice powerfully to these issues. Thank you for being with us and your family as well.
Well, thank you, Carol, for that lovely introduction. Thank you all for your applause, for your acknowledgement. I look around here and there's a few things I want to first start out by saying. Yes, my name is Priscilla Paris Austin. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And honestly, I'm a little uncertain still about why I'm really up here. But then I think about my family, not just the family you see here, but my ancestors, the family to whom I am connected, and I sigh. You see, my mother's people are a mix of Taino, Spaniard, colonized and colonizer, servants to royalty, noble veterans serving country that demeans them at every opportunity. Citizenship was bestowed upon them as a gift to justify the exploitation of the island and the resources of people, culture, economy, and yes, the land. My father's people left the island of their birth, where they had been under yet another colonized system, as a mix of people stolen from their home continent, from whom we cannot trace a history, and those who enslaved them. My grandparents and their siblings chose citizenship in this country as an opportunity to do something better. Over the generations, my people have survived and succumbed to cancer, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, incest, abuse, schizophrenia, depression, PTSD. My people have cooked for royalty, bussed tables in frat houses, jumped out of airplanes, been medics on the battlefield, opened their homes for foster families, cared for children and elders with special needs, argued landmark cases before the Supreme Court, won Emmys and Tonys. One was even married to Miles Davis and walked away from a marriage to Billy D. Williams. My cousins and siblings are contractors, mothers, fathers, doctors, lawyers, teachers, social workers, nurses, judges, activists, engineers, accountants, ministers, musicians, military and military contractors, international bakers, poets, physical therapists, entrepreneurs, free spirits, gamblers, a rocket scientist, and so much more. I love my family. I am here because of all they did before me, their sacrifices and their achievements, their victories and their failures, their compassion and their convictions, all contribute to who I am and what is possible for me. I am the child of Calvin R. Paris Sr., Gaudiosa Eraso Paris. I am the grandchild of Sam Paris and Nell Baker. I am the granddaughter of Miguel Luis Tapia Eraso and Emerita Rivera Eraso. I am spouse to Anthony L. Austin, parent to Renee, Mateo, and Imani, godparent to Gabriel and Montgomery. I am aunt to, and let me do the run, aunt to Gabby, Elena, Ruben, Elion, Amada, Sydney, Sophia, Jaden. Did I miss anybody? Brittany. Dang it. I knew I'd miss one. I am a teacher, a mentor, a pastor, a friend, a sibling, an aunt, a reluctant past prophet, an activist. But because of all that has been done for me, because of all that has been done before me, I am compelled to stand before you today, to raise my voice, to rebuke all forms of supremacy, all forms of supremacist thinking, especially the binary, cisgendered, heteronormative, white Christian, classist, ableist, body policing, toxic masculinity, nationalist first, America first, when America is actually a continent and not a nation. Might makes right, patriarchal, supremacist thinking that dominates our world and culture. My family taught me, by living example, that participation in the democracy in which we are is a valued right, an honorable privilege, and a weighty responsibility. I don't think my mother and father ever voted the same during any election in my childhood. My mother used to say, worst case scenario, we cancel each other out. She used to also say that she would never tell anyone what she was going to vote, that it was a private decision that you could make when she went into the, what she could make when she went into the ballot box. And that people could tell her whatever she wanted, and she might agree and say whatever they wanted to hear. But when she closed that curtain, she would do what she knew she needed to do. My father, I remember, once dragged me along with him to a meeting at Operation Push, where I met Jesse Jackson, who told me how important it was that I become a part of the NAACP. And in my preteen kind of rebellious angst, I had no concept of the magnitude of that meeting and was rather annoyed at having to sit there through all of that stuff. I'm grateful that my children are here with a little less annoyance. My mother would take me along when we were small to the polling place with her. And because her voting was a private thing, we would sit at the table with Mrs. McCabe, our neighbor, who was the precinct captain, while Mom would go in and take care of business. You see, she made sure that we knew how important it was to be a part of whatever is happening in our country. Mom used to say, if you don't vote, you can't complain. However, she also said, a lot of people will still complain. Mom helped me register to vote when I was 18, even though there was no election that year. And the following year, made sure that I filed my absentee ballot so that I could vote from New York for the candidates in Chicago. Made sure that I knew what the policies were, actually sent me newspaper clippings all through the fall. And every election cycle after that. Inherent in my family is our diversity, not just ethnically, but culturally, socially, economically, politically, theologically. And so, by our inherent diversity, my family taught me that my personal interest is way too narrow of a lens by which to look at any issue. Voting was a right that my people had fought to gain, and I best not take it lightly. There's a lot of pressure on my father's side of the family to make sure that we are politically engaged. Because the one who I just cursorily mentioned in that list, the lawyer, judge, who spoke before the Supreme Court, the first Black woman to be a Supreme Court judge in this country, Constance Baker Motley, who clerked for Thurgood Marshall, wrote the argument in the case for Brown versus Education, is my cousin. Connie is the only person on this planet who I would not correct when she called me Patricia. I mean, are you going to correct a Supreme Court judge? I was in college when I met Connie face to face for the first time. She was in New York, of course, and as was I, and she had invited me to Thanksgiving dinner. At this point, I knew the magnitude of this invitation, and I was not nearly as dismissive of Connie as I was of Reverend Jackson. I sat at her table as the family discussed politics, everything that was happening in the current events of the day, and I wondered, dare I speak? When she asked me my opinion, at which point I was like, oh man, I didn't study. I don't know. But Connie was gracious. And she said, all right, honey, here's what you need to know. See, it's things like this for which I'm grateful for FAN. I didn't actually make the connection of my faith to my political activism until I was in college, after college, actually. And I landed in this little ELCA church, St. Paul Lutheran Church in Jersey City, and became aware of the New Jersey Coalition, the Interfaith Coalition. And I thought, oh, talking about politics in church. Interesting. Okay, all right. Mom would get on with this. This would be good. This is cool. When I left New Jersey and went to Chicago, I became involved with the Interfaith Worker Justice Project. My friend Joy, who was working with them at the time, became a dear, dear partner in ministry and accountability. When I went to Arizona, I became a part of the Valley Interfaith Project. And again, I was amazed with the possibility of what could be done when we were all working together. And then I came to Seattle. And I met you, Fan. I met you and became so much more engaged, so much more connected to equitable justice as a spiritual practice. Paul and Elise and the FAN interns over the years have been a gift to me, helping me hone that spiritual practice of seeking equitable justice for all, unpacking the nuances of initiatives and advisory votes and the various legislative bills, but most notably, connecting me with colleagues, other faith leaders, with my representatives, and welcoming my kids at Advocacy Day. I do this work because of you, my family. Because my mother had a philosophy that she didn't actually have any strangers. It was just family she hadn't met. So welcome to the family, cousins. Because of you, I do this work. And because of you, I am encouraged in this work. I'm encouraged to know that I'm not in it alone, to know that there are others who believe that love is the thing that conquers all. And in the words of Carole King, we are one. It just amazes me that I can be part of the energy it takes to serve each other. And I wonder, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What will we do? We're gonna run, reach for the sun, come together as one, show 'em how it's done. And at the end of the day, we'll be able to say, love one. Thank you.
Wow. I'm not sure how to follow that at all, Priscilla, but it's an honor to be one of your colleagues, Priscilla. All right, we continue this amazing night of raising our voices for justice. And I couldn't think of a better person to bring to the podium, as we should never forget our roots, no matter where our roots take us, and we should know where those roots take us, first of all. And we not only have our personal roots, our family roots, but we have our roots of our nation. So we are in the year 2019, and dial back 400, and you get to the year 1619. On this 400th year of remembering, not sure I have the catalog of adjectives to describe it. Let me try: immoral, racist, despicable system that we know still as slavery, still know as slavery. The legacy is with us still. And I couldn't think of a better fighter for justice. If you haven't seen the movie Harriet, and Harriet, if you could come to the stage. This is a Harriet Tubman in our area. How many have seen the movie Harriet? Hands raised, very good. You should all go see it if you haven't. I suspect a movie like that probably won't be around long, unfortunately. But I can't count the number of meetings, Harriet. We'd have to be together for a while to count the number of meetings that we've been together. But it is an honor and a privilege to welcome to the stage Reverend Harriet Walden. Please please just allow me just a couple. Come on up. Because Harriet's been a fighter for decades, coming from the racist state of Florida to, yes, let's just say it what it is, another one.
That's true.
And fighting for years with the Mothers for Police Accountability, and still fighting with the city of Seattle being under a consent decree. I welcome to the microphone and the podium a fighter for justice, and a loud voice from myself, from Harriet, and from all of us, that Black Lives Matter. Please welcome Harriet, Reverend Harriet Walden.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very much. I think this award here, I have gracious gratitude, and I thank Fan and Paul. We've worked together many years here around Puget Sound, to tell the truth. And he's already asked how many people I have seen Harriet. Well, you know, of course, Harriet have seen Harriet. Of course. I was named for Harriet, so I had to make sure I saw Harriet. Yes. You know, most of us don't understand that the Civil War never ended. This is a continuation of what's happening in America. The states, the Confederate states that was in rebellion, they're still in rebellion right now, and now they have other states to help them out. We have to understand where we are right now. We have to understand that this is a continuation of the hatred that was never dug up. The hatred has never been dug up, and so this is another opportunity. This is our opportunity to dig it up. How many gardeners is in the room? I'm not a gardener, so how many gardeners are in the room? Raise your hands, the gardeners. Oh my goodness, look at the gardeners. Well, you know you have to eventually dig up the daffodil bulbs, right? All right, so that's what you do. That's what we're called to do, to dig up the root of hatred. It's been around a long time. In the 1916 dictionary, there's a word called negrophobia, he who's afraid of a Negro.
So you wonder why police officers get off when they kill black people. It's been codified. It's been there for 100 years. In the 1905 dictionary, it says to be black is to be horrible, sullen, and horrible like a Negro. To be white is to be pure like snow and sinless like a white man. All right? So it's codified. So that means that when white people show up, they show up sinless. And when black people show up, we show up horrible, sullen, and cull like a Negro. So we have to go back and look at all of this. And we have to dig that root up. How many is willing to dig it up? Are we willing to dig up the root of hatred? Are we willing to say no more? Because if we don't do it if we don't do it 50 years from now to be back, this is 156 years since Lincoln signed the paper, and we're still pushing on the door for freedom. 156 years since Lincoln signed the paper. That's a long time. But you know what we have? We have dominion over this. God gave it to us, right? We got dominion over this. And what we have to do is that we have to understand what lasts forever. What is it? Divine love. That's the only thing that lasts. All of this other stuff will eventually go away. And so there's many, many paths to the divine. But we can say one thing is that yes, we can. We can honor all paths. We can honor all people. And we can imagine, as John Lennon says, we can imagine that world where we all come together. That's on us. We can do that because Scripture says we can. It says we can, whatever we believe. Job says, what I feared has come upon me. So now we're going to say whatever we believe, and we believe we can achieve. And if we want equal rights in America for all people, we can do that. I'm going to end by several quotes from Harriet. Of course, I'll have to quote Harriet. And one of those quotes says, I had reasoned this out in my mind. There was only one or two things I had a right to, liberty or death. If I could not have one, I would have the other. All right, so that means that we still can fight. All right, because we're going to all have that time when what? That end date. But in between the brackets of birth and death, there's something that we can do. One more quote from Harriet. She says here, she says, if you hear the dogs, keep going. If you see the torches in the woods, keep going. If they're shouting after you, keep going. Don't ever stop. Keep going. If you have a taste for freedom, keep going. Do we have a taste for freedom in this room? Are we going to keep going in this room? All right, let's keep going. All right. Thank you, fam. Thank you so much. All right.
Let's get you down for a minute.
Congratulations, Reverend Harriet. Thank you. It is my honor now to present the next award, and this is the Advocating Faith Community Award, and this year it is presented to Seattle First Baptist Church. And we're going to have it be received by, or accepted by lead pastor Reverend Dr. Tim Phillips and theologian in residence Reverend Dr. Patricia Hunter. So I call them up here while I speak a little bit about them. I want to say that Seattle First Baptist Church has been at the forefront of civil rights work, immigrant rights work, standing for justice, putting their faith in action every single day for 150 years. We celebrated the 150-year anniversary this year, and it was so beautiful and powerful to come together with these two leaders and so many other at Seattle First Baptist. Just to give you a sense, you can read a little bit more in the blurb in your programs, but just to give you a sense of how long and how strong the commitment of Seattle First Baptist Church has been, they were there advocating for immigrant rights well before many of the rest of us. They were there way back when we had the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. They were there when Japanese Americans were interned during World War II. They were there, and I will say personally, I have seen these two leaders and so many others from Seattle First Baptist Church show up, stand with us today when Muslims and other communities are also facing attacks. They have been right there, and I'm so proud and honored to present this award to Seattle First Baptist Church. Let's give them a round of applause. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sister Anila. And to Reverend Paul Benz and Miss Elise DeGoyer, and members and friends of FAN. On behalf of Seattle First Baptist Church, we humbly accept this award and recognition. Dr. Tim Phillips and I would like to recognize our other pastoral colleague, the Reverend Anita Peebles. If you'll stand, please. And we also recognize our ministry partners, Campanas, and their executive director, Mr. Gary Davis. If you'll stand as well. Keep standing. And Bet Olive Meditative Synagogue and Rabbi Olivier, if you'll keep standing. And now, if all the members and friends of Seattle First Baptist Church, if you will please stand if you are able, or at least wave your hand. Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You may be seated. Again, we thank you, Faith Action Network. We are just a few of many who desire to serve our community and be instruments of God's love, God's grace, and God's mercy. Again, thank you.
And I'd like to thank you as well. You know, Elise gave us a great gift at our 150th kickoff. She said, "You're not just a church on the corner of Harvard and Seneca. You are a church at the intersection of justice and hope." Oh my God, I hope that's true. I hope that's true. In reading the new history that's being written about our life together over these 150 years, I keep telling people that I am both impressed and intimidated. There are so many amazing people in our history that have done incredible things. And I've realized that as I read these stories that this history commits us to something. There's a lot of responsibility that goes with 150 years, right? There's the responsibility for the impact our ancestors have had on this land that was inhabited by the Duwamish generations before they ever arrived. There's the responsibility for the civil rights of our immigrant, African American, and lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer neighbors. There's the responsibility to stand with our neighbors who are Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, and more. And most important, I think, at this location between justice and hope is hope itself. It's the responsibility to imagine, as we heard earlier, to imagine what a beloved community would look like. That's why we've been here all these years. First with the Washington Association of Churches, and then the first, I'm always proud of this, the First Baptist Church to join the Lutheran Public Policy Office. The president of the congregation at the time said, why would we join a Lutheran organization? And then she met Paul Benz, and she knew why. And now, of course, the Faith Action Network of Interfaith, and I'm so proud to say, interfaith, advocacy, and action. Look around. And that isn't rhetorical, that's really look around. This is what we imagine as that beloved community, what it looks like. And you are why we are still here at this intersection of justice and hope. Thank you so much.
All right. What a friend we have in all of you here tonight, friends, and there is a very faithful friend that I want to bring to the stage at this time, and generous supporter of Faith Action Network. We wouldn't be where we are at today with all of you, but also by someone by the name of Rick Steves, who not only is a friend and a supporter, but believes that this is not just more than a nice contribution for him to make. Because Rick Steves, as you all know, believes it in his heart about advocacy, about raising our voices for justice. Please welcome to the stage Rick Steves.
So this is a little surprise for Rick, because it's hard to know what to give Rick. But when we walked into his office, I noticed a little cabinet he has right as you enter, and it's got 100 trophies, maybe 100 trophies. And, you know, Rick's been with us all 8 years of FAN having this party, this dinner, this celebration, and sometimes in person, mostly in person, sometimes on video. So we wanted to give him a Champion of Advocacy Award because he is. Thank you, Rick. We wanted to be in the cabinet, too.
Well, thank you very much. I've spent a third of my adult life living out of a 9 by 22 by 14-inch carry-on-the-airplane-sized suitcase, hanging out with people outside of our country. And I'm really so thankful for that. And lately, I've been thinking about it in terms of the road as church. You learn so much when you leave your home. You even learn about your home by looking at it from a distance, I think. And coming to an event like this, I'm just inspired at how right it is to get out there and get to know the neighbors, and then also to come home and realize how richly blessed we are to live in this corner of the world. I think the most impactful moment perhaps in my travels was on my first trip. I was in Oslo visiting relatives. Behind the royal palace, there's a big garden, a big park called Frogner Park. Some of you who've been to Norway know about that place. And I was in this park. I was just a very egocentric, ethnocentric 14-year-old twerp. And my parents took me there to see the relatives, you know. And it occurred to me, they were just loving me ridiculously. I didn't even deserve it. And I looked around that whole big park, and it was speckled with other parents loving their kids as much as my parents loved me. And it occurred to me, even at a little 14-year-old, this world must be home to billions of equally precious, equally lovable children of God. And I was so thankful for that. And then when you think about it a little more, you take it another level and you realize there's a lot of need, there's a lot of suffering, there's a lot of injustice, and that need, suffering, and injustice, assuming we're all children of God, which people of faith understand, there's no proximity to that. Suffering across the street is no more real than suffering across the state or suffering across the sea. Thomas Jefferson said, travel makes a person wiser if less happy. I enjoy that burden of knowing that we're all in this together and we can make a difference. One thing about travel is, I think it helps you celebrate diversity like we're doing today here, and at the same time, it helps you celebrate oneness like we're doing today here. There's no contradiction. Diversity and oneness. We're here. We're together. And as a team, we can love our neighbors. Whatever faith we are, we know the golden rule. We know when you get out there and travel, you get to know the family. That's what powers my passion for encouraging people to get out there and travel. It makes this common sense understanding that we're children of God and we're all lovable and we should take care of each other. It makes it so vivid. One thing I learned when I travel is I'm able to leave our country and look at it from afar, and I'm able to look at other countries who have not dealt with the problems that we have an opportunity to deal with and see how do we extrapolate into the future? What's the trajectory that we're on? We can talk about the loss of our middle class. What happens when it's much, much worse? Go to Guatemala and you'll see it. And then come home and recognize that you've been blessed to go there. Now you come home and you can get into the trenches and help us rectify that. There are so many problems that emanate from economic injustice. The more I think about it, depression, violence, drugs, all sorts of things, it comes right back to hopelessness economically because there's structural poverty. I've just been a lot in the last year in Guatemala and Ethiopia writing a show called Hunger and Hope. Lessons learned in Ethiopia and Guatemala. It's going to air all over the country in February. I'm so excited about this, but I've always thought that there's a lot of structural poverty, and we need to address it. We need to get beyond this government that's an alliance between the elites and the government at the expense of the masses of us. When you travel, you see our problems in the extreme. If you think of I was just in Guatemala. They had a 30-year civil war there. They lost 200,000 people in Guatemala. 200,000 people, triple what we lost in Vietnam in a country of 6 or 8 million people, something like that. What was that war about? It wasn't communist against freedom. It was land rights. That's what it was, land rights, that structural poverty. And you know, if you're a fan of free enterprise, you know that a corporation has every right to buy land so they can grow more fancy crops to export with no consideration of what that means to the people there. I learned that when the sugar plantation or the coffee plantations wants your land, you'll be met by somebody from their office and they say, we want to buy your land, we can negotiate with you or we can negotiate with your widow. Where do I sign? That's the reality. And we have it here in a different form, but it is affordable housing. A lot of people here are in that issue. We learn about that. It becomes very poignant. It becomes high def when we see it in the extreme. When you go south of the border, you see what happens when there's no middle class. There's armed guards everywhere. South of the border, every pharmacy, every hotel, every bank, there's an armed guard. We're going to see it here in our society if we don't do something about economic justice. I'm so thankful for the work we're doing today because we recognize that and we're committed to it. I don't want a future of armed guards and hopeless people. I don't want it. And the solution to that hopelessness is not more armed guards. There's two kinds of politics, I think, in our capitalist world. And I'm practical about this. I'm a capitalist. There's unbridled capitalism, and there's capitalism within bounds as set by the populace through our government. And that's, I think, our challenge. In a lot of ways in America, capitalism is our religion. It's the free market, it's free enterprise, it's buying power. And if you take that to the extreme, like a fundamentalist capitalist would, if my cat has more buying power than your child, my cat gets the tuna. Get out of the way. And that's the reality between rich and poor, within our country and between the developed world and the developing world. I'm always mindful of the Jubilee year in the Bible, in the Old Testament. Every 50 years, you redivide the land and you forgive the debts. It's in the Bible. Now, rich Christians know God must have been kidding. But there's some wisdom to that, because unbridled greed, it takes probably 50 years until it gets so bad that you got all sorts of horrible uprisings and violence to keep landless people down and so on. So we moderate that with our work that we're doing today. It would be so instructive if the typical American Christian could read the Bible through poor world eyes instead of rich world eyes. I just think it's so important that we are honest about this. And in my travels, I've learned, even if you're motivated only by greed, if you know what's good for you, you don't want to be filthy rich in a desperately poor society. It's just not a nice place to raise your kids. We've got a system that celebrates greed. We've got structural poverty, and we've got courageous people speaking out against that in Olympia and in Washington, D.C. As citizens of this great and powerful nation, we are stakeholders and we're funders of it. And I think we're responsible for it. As moral citizens, as people of faith, we care. We know for every person of color who's denied a civil liberty, that is us. For every abuse of our environment in the interest of material wealth, that's you and me as citizens of this country. For every neighbor who can't afford health care, that is our community. For every abandoned, lonely senior, for every single mom struggling to feed her kids, that's us. For every person living in fear and hopelessness on the street, that's our failure. And as a taxpayer, when it comes to our military, I'm not a pacifist. We got to kill some people sometimes with our military, but every bullet that flies and every bomb that drops has my name on it. And I need to take responsibility for it if I'm as ethical as I want to be. And I'm sure that's the feeling in this room. We have so many advantages with our American citizenship, and I think it needs to come with responsibilities. And in order for us to be ethical as Americans, there's only one response, and that's political. We need to get political. And people, I speak from a Christian point of view, you know, Christians have a hard time, on the progressive end of things anyways, thinking that it's appropriate to get really political. But this is how we have to do it. And it's complicated. I just tried to deal with the voter's manual last week, you know. I almost threw my hands up. I couldn't sort through all that stuff. I wished I could have voted smarter, but I know that Faith Action Networks understands our values. They're experts at this, and they go to bat for us in Olympia. That, to me, is a service. This room is filled with love. We care, we give, we change the world together. And Faith Action Network gives our love traction. It's a way to scale up our love. And I always like to remind people, because you're going to be asked for some money here in a little while, don't think of this as a charity. This is a service. We all wish we had the time, the energy, and the expertise to go down there in Olympia and run down the halls and try to make this stuff happen. But I really believe in specialization of labor. And I'm much better writing a guidebook than going down to Olympia and talking about, you know, affordable housing or something like that. Thank God I can support Faith Action Network to do my work for me. I hire all sorts of people to do my work for me, and if we want to get stuff done in Olympia, we need to think of Faith Action Network as a service. And it's advocacy. Advocacy. That is, to me, where we get the most traction with our philanthropic energy. It's nice to do charity. In my church, we've got a canned food drive. That's just lovely. But that's not going to change things. What's going to change things is Faith Action Network. It's political activism. So it's kind of political love 201, I would say. And everybody can't get their brains around this. But we're leaders, and we do get our brains around this, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. Faith Action Network, what a great concept. We're motivated by our faith, we're taking action, and we're doing it as a network, together, as a community. This organization takes our values as people of faith to Olympia and gets results. You know the issues. Economic justice, civil liberties, stewardship of our environment, affordable housing, hunger, health care, protecting our immigrant community. Faith Action Network is expert, and Faith Action Network gets it done. You can read on the website the accomplishments of 2019. 40 different bills FAN worked on and passed and were signed into law by our governor, and that was done to a great extent because of the fund we had 1 year ago right here. We raised a lot of money. Everybody was just, you know, just inspired and energized when we left here. And then all year long, the mighty might of Faith Action Network was working on our behalf in Olympia. Today, we're going to do the same thing for the next year. We certainly have not solved all the problems. We need the financial resources to do it. And tonight, if the past is any indication of the future, we're going to raise 1/3 of the annual budget for Faith Action Network. 1/3 tonight with our hard work and our thoughtful giving. It's very exciting. Now, I'm into budget tips. That's what I do, is I share budget tips. Here's a budget tip. If you want to get more mileage out of your giving, you support advocacy. Because for every dollar that empowers faith, they go down to Olympia and they get results that spread throughout this entire state. Another good thing about Faith Action Networks is its efficiency. It's 3 people and an intern. But what they're doing is they're educating and organizing and mobilizing thousands of advocates by coordinating over 150 faith communities. That's my kind of value. That is my kind of value. In fact, tonight, and before I say this, I'm a businessman. I sell a lot of tours, so I can give some serious money to this event tonight. And before I say that, I really want to remind us something that's kind of obvious. This room is filled with people who give far more than some businessman like me could ever give by dedicating their lives to teaching these values in our communities. So I say that in all humbleness. As a businessman, I've turned my back on that kind of work in the trenches to do what I really love in my world, but I can support our work with some money because of how good our tours are. So, here's what I would like to do if it's okay with you. You've heard these matches before. I want to give $50,000 tonight, okay? Now, this is by far the most expensive dinner of my entire year. And it's my favorite dinner. And in a little while, we're all winners. Just getting this many great people together in this room and celebrating all the diversity and listening to all and celebrating the award winners and so on. That makes this evening a success already. But we're going to make it more of a success when we come in a moment to the fundraising. But I just want to make it really clear. If you can afford $100, that's as much as me affording what I'm giving tonight. There's no issue of that. Just think, what can you do to empower FAN? And if you can afford $100, that's $200 for FAN. If you can afford $500, it's $1,000 for FAN. $5,000, that's $10,000 for a little organization with 3.5 staffers that's changing our world in Washington State. Please think about that, because it's a celebration. It's pure joy to give this money if you are looking to get some value out of your money. And considering what's going on in Washington, D.C., I am particularly committed to making our state a shining example in this country of ours. We know the value of environment. We know the value of community, of diversity, of racial justice, of economic justice. Our state really inspires a lot of the rest of the country. I know this from a lot of work I've done around the country. They look to us, the West Coast and so on, like they look at with envy and admiration, people who have a heart for this kind of stuff, and we are leading the way. Now, we've got good people in Olympia. The people that go to Olympia to represent us are good people. They need to hear our voice. We need to turn up that voice. In our society, in our politics, money is volume. We've got good legislators, we've got good lobbyists, advocates in FAN, and now we're going to turn up the volume. There are lots of prayers from struggling people in our state. And this, our work tonight, is how prayers are answered. So God bless all of us as we empower Faith Action Network with our financial support. Thank you very much.
Can we give another round of applause to the amazing Rick Steves? $50,000. We so appreciate the support that Rick has provided FAN, the perspective he brings, the hope and inspiration that he provides through his travel tours and guides, and him putting his money on the line. He's not just about talk, he walks the walk, and he is a shining example of how when we come together, we can make real change. And I just want to correct one thing. Tonight, we're going to raise over half of FAN's budget, not just 1/3, over half. But that is a challenge. It is a big challenge that we have. And that challenge is for each one of us to dig deep in our pockets to make sure that the Faith Action Network has the resources and the support necessary to do the work that it is doing on the front lines, putting faith into action every single day. And it's a way for us to continue the energy, the momentum, the effort from tonight, every single other day of the year as well. So with your help tonight, we want to match our action with our values. And you heard Rick say it, he will double your donation with a matching gift up to $50,000, which means double the impact, which means we can make real change with the support of every single one of you tonight.
I hope you'll indulge me for a moment, because hearing the inspiring words of Rick Steves made me think about the scriptures that we read in synagogues across the world yesterday, because we read about Abraham and Sarah who had to leave their home to find their spiritual home, to come back home, to bring peace and justice and love to their home. And what we are being asked to do tonight is to be Abraham and Sarah, to bring peace, justice, and love to our home of Washington State. And we can do that together. And so this is our time to raise our voices, to move out and move up, and to do the match. And so each of you, I didn't take my card because my card had 3 6s on it. Didn't feel like a good omen. I took my husband's card, but each of you has a card that looks like this. And what we're going to ask you to do, Anila and I gotta say, I have like the easiest gig. It is so wonderful being here with Anila. Anila and I are gonna mention different levels. You're gonna take your card and you're going to raise it, and please do not lower it until we hear until you hear the number that we say.
Yes, we are Washington State, the better Washington, the best coast. So let's make sure we match that tonight. So let's see, let's start out. Because we have these amazing sponsors that have sponsored this event at the $5,000 level. I know it's a huge ask, but is there anybody, let's just throw it out there. Let's see if there's anybody in the room here tonight who can match that high level of our sponsorship. Woohoo, there we go. Round of applause. There we go. That's how we do it. That's how we want to start it off. Thank you. 343. Anybody else who wants to match and stands for this $5,000 level? Okay. It's okay.
And so we wonder if there's anyone at $2,500, $2,500, a meaningful 656, not 666, but 656. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
We have another one.
Oh, another one. I don't see it.
384.
384. Thank you. And just to make it clear, after you put, at the end of all of this, there are some bidding cards that we'll ask you to fill out. So thank you.
Yeah. And we want to get everybody involved. Anybody else at the 2,500 level, though, before we move off of that? There we go, 597.
Awesome.
You are making our job easy tonight. Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Can we get one more? All right, we will move on. We have the Messengers of Hope level, which is the $1,000 level, a gift that can help power fans' advocacy for 2020. And we've had several $1,000 sponsors. Can you join them? Who can join them? 583 right here, 233. There's two, right? 271, 257, 600. Thank you, all of you. 444, 544. Anybody else?
Yes, there is another one. What number is that?
297. We got another one, 271, 2 times. Look at that, Steve. Thank you.
Awesome.
Anybody else? $1,000 level.
And so we're wondering, maybe there's something special that you're celebrating that's happened since the last fan event. Would you be willing to acknowledge that celebration with a $750 donation? Is there anyone here who would lift their card? Maybe there's been something that you've celebrated even in this past weekend. 750. 254. Wonderful. Thank you.
212. We got that. Thank you.
And 341. Awesome. Thank you.
Anybody else at that level? Okay, we're going to move right along. Now I have to say, this is very different from the Islamic fundraisers that I go to. I will tell you. This is, they can attest to this. Any of you who've attended probably know we drag it out and we force every little bit out of people that we can. So this is, you're getting off easy, but you're helping us out, and we really want to go to the next level and get much more involvement. So at the $500 level, how many of you are willing to help support fans' vital work at this $500 level? Bring it up. This is beautiful. Please hold them up until we get your number. We'll start with that 666, 593, 364, 228, 673, 677, 675, 569, 425, 600, 659, 259, 566, 635, 619, 511, 398, 565, 435, 387, 441, 478, 515, 594. Our eyesight is kind of weak here. 251, 253, 539. What is that? 427, 262. Anybody else? This is beautiful. Can we get a couple more?
A couple more and I get more steps on my Fitbit. Come on.
If you're nervous, it's okay. You just raise it. It's easy. Just go like that.
So that's wonderful. We're getting so close to that $50,000 match, and we want to keep going there. We want to keep helping make Washington State our spiritual home as well as our physical home. That's what it means to be Faith Action Network, a community of faith communities together. So 300 seems like a really wonderful number at a level of support. So who would like to join at the $300 level? 437 260 525 404 534 605. I may be going fast. 402. I'm from New York. I go at a clip. 470 481 343 217 218 484 621 367 460 298 280 605. Awesome.
Going once, going twice. You don't want to lose this chance. Okay, we're going to go to the easy one. This, if you came here tonight thinking, you know what, maybe I'm going to give $100. We want you to dig a little further. Push yourself a little bit. This is getting efficiency, as Rick said. You are getting the best bang for your buck by investing in FAN and getting not just addressing the symptoms of problems, but getting to the roots. So who can do the $200 level? Let's see these cards go up. 573, 382, 249? 249, 527, 522, 423, 530, 310, 483, 204, 235, 513, 492, 356, 546, 327, 588, I believe. Yeah? Okay, 588. Anybody else? 510, 521, 609. This is amazing. 597. Keep them coming. Come on. This is fabulous. 375. Here we go. Anybody else? Oh, wait a minute. Who told us that?
What's that?
Do we have another one? No? Okay. All right.
And so we come now to a really, really nice number. This is a number that feels good because it's nice and round. So if you are willing to give at the $100 level, please let us know. So thank you. I already see a bunch of cards coming up. That's awesome. 330 417 581 580 332 465 421 551 336 246 475 509 284. Remind me to call my optometrist. 480 300 525 623 489 491 321 591, 281, 207, 413, 279, 278, 625, 309. This is unbelievable. This is great. 325, 617, 464, 571, 683, 523, 520, 556, 567, 390, 221, 433, 532, 318, 339, 319, 317, 461. Oh boy, now you're really working.
667, 333, 405, 504, 405, 355, 456. Hold them up higher, please. 469, 349, 567, 533, 342. Anyone else? Did we miss anyone? Oh, one more. 654. There we go. Beautiful. Anything else? All right.
All right.
Now, again, we want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to participate. So now we're going down just $50. $50 for 1 year of advocacy work by FAN that can make a huge difference. Are you in for just $50 to help build this network? Hold your cards up high. Let's go 204-480-303-6, 619-417, 550, 518, 508, 392? 392. We need glasses. 526, 603, 498. Anyone else? $50 level? Okay.
And so here's what we'd really like to ask of you, and pretty soon you're not going to have to hear Anila and I barking numbers at you, but what would be really extraordinary to make this match, to make a statement about making Washington State our spiritual home, is to have 100% participation in this evening. And so what we would like to ask is, if you have not given, even if you have given, would you give $25? If you will, can we see your cards for a $25 give? 213, thank you. 401, every bit counts, thank you. 557, I said 301, 263. Awesome. So here's how we're going to move forward with this, because it is quite possible we may have gotten a couple of the numbers wrong. So what we're going to ask of you, really, every single person in this room makes a difference. Thank you. Whatever your giving level is, it makes a statement. There is a manila envelope on each table with bidding cards. We'll ask you to mark off your names, and there are different ways you can give. You can give cash, a check, a credit card. I'm told that you can also even give online. They will be secure. They will be safe. And then we'll ask that you put them back in. And with your help, we can do so much by giving up to 1/2 of the budget for FAN for this year.
Yes. So please do fill that out. We know there are some people who want to give anonymously, so maybe you didn't raise your card. This is your chance. Please fill out those bid forms. Let's make sure we get them turned in and help power the movement for FAN. Our hearts are simply so full of gratitude for the generosity that so many of you have shown tonight, every single one of you, in fact. You provide the fuel for our work ahead through the spirit of this gathering, as well as your financial support. We draw strength, courage, and hope from every single one of you. And we're going to tally tonight's gifts and combine them with those who gave toward the match but couldn't attend tonight. And we're going to have a final count soon for you, and we hope to exceed Rick Steve's $50,000 match amount.
So just to let you know, our friends in Spokane have already broken away, and they are doing their own important awards, so we say thank you. They will present an Interfaith Leadership Award to Reverend Jen Haywood and the faith leaders and leaders of Conscience Group who have been holding up the Truthful Tuesday vigils. And also in Spokane, the Justice Leadership Award is being presented to the Yakima Immigrant Response Network for all they've done for witnesses in solidarity with immigrants being transferred to and from ICE. We are grateful for these Eastern Washington advocates. Thank you.
Yeah, and we're going to be done in less than 5 minutes. If you could please bear with us for less than 5 minutes. We understand if some people have to leave, but please leave quietly. We want to just make sure we get through this. Those are some amazing awards that are happening in Spokane, the work that they are doing. So let's give another round of applause for the recipients of the awards in Spokane. Did you finish all of yours for Spokane?
Yeah, I did mine.
You did? Okay. And before we let you go this evening, we have a few other instructions or a few more things to just mention. Number one, if you have any questions for us, the registration staff will be at the table on your way out, and volunteers are collecting the name tags. We want to make sure we recycle and reuse as much as possible, so please be sure to leave your name tags behind. And we would like to have table hosts or somebody else at your table, please take home the ornamental cabbage plant that is on each table. Now is a good time to plant it and consider that you are helping plant hope for the year ahead. And we also have a few invitations from our network. This Tuesday, there are vigils and rallies happening across the nation. Can I get everybody's attention, please? There are vigils and rallies happening across our nation this Tuesday in Seattle here locally, as well as Olympia, Walla Walla, and across the state, because it is the Supreme Court is considering the DACA case. So we're actually holding an event here in Seattle from 2 to 4 p.m. downtown at the courthouse. And you can go to the FAN Facebook page or website for more information there. We're actually asking faith leaders to please show up in your clerical attire to stand in solidarity for all immigrants, including DACA recipients. So if you can join us this Tuesday, where we have another opportunity to stand united as faith leaders and help add our moral voice to the issue of DACA, we would really appreciate that.
And our friends at the Khalsa Gurmat Center invite you to celebrate with them next weekend, Sunday, November 17th, with an open house at their center in Federal Way to honor the 550th birthday of the Sikh religion founder, Guru Nanak. Flyers will be at the door as you leave. We say thank you.
Yeah. And on November 24th, MAPS is holding an open house that you are all invited to from 3 to 6 p.m. We encourage you to invite especially people who've never been to a mosque before. And also on November 26th at 6 p.m., we have an Interfaith Share Your Blessings Thanksgiving, which is a humanitarian and social service dinner raising funds to help women's shelters and other great services.
And so we thank you all so much for your presence, for your generosity, for being together as one network. Please be safe driving home, and we hope to see you in Olympia or closer to where you live sometime in the new year.
And we thank you again for joining us this evening. Until next year, which will even be bigger and better than this fan dinner. Please give all of you a round of applause for being here tonight. Thank you. Good evening. Peace be with you.